Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, actually, depending on where you're watching this and when. This is Keith with Spreadsheet Sports again, and we're going to go over Friday's games and tell you who I'm targeting a little bit to capitalize off of chaos and turn that chaos into cash. Gonna break down a little bit about what the sites are doing this afternoon, and kind of give you a little bit of insight on what I think about it. We've got the 500 K Super Grand Slam today over on FanDuel. 100 or first place walks out with $100,000. Over at DraftKings, we've got the King of the Hill tournament where they've lowered it, the buy-in down to $10, which is good because if you take down that, then you go head-to-head for $10,000 tomorrow against the guy that wins that head-to-head tonight. So that's always something that's cool. I wish FanDuel would do something like that. That's pretty awesome. We've got the 250K Mega Perfect Game, which is $300 buy-in, the 150K payoff pitch over there, and of course the 115K moonshot. FanDuel also has going on right now it's a $1 single entry tournament that's listed at $40,000 as far as the prize pool is concerned. It's called the Double Bunt. Obviously, with only around 23,000 entries, there's going to be some massive overlay into that. So you want to get into that because that's built-in overlay in the tournament, and it makes it a lot easier to cash and actually profit off of something. So you've also got the $100,000 rally over there. That's a $5 entry where first place is going to take down $10,000, and the $2 squeeze where first place is going to take out $7,000. So there's some big tournaments around the industry tonight, and hopefully what I'm going to do is help make that a lot easier for you to take down some of those and make it to where we can all make some money tonight. So game by game breakdown about to come up, and just want to take this time to tell everybody how much I thank everybody for the kind words. And remember, you can follow me at Sheet Sports on Twitter, or my personal account is Boomer's DFS Daddy. I post through both of those throughout the afternoon and the evening, just some plays and stuff. Trying to be more active on it. I'm kind of throwing everything into once and trying to get used to everything to help everybody out. Let's see here. I posted a link this morning on FanDuel for the tonight's Spreadsheet Sports League tournament. We've got 6 entries in there so far. We got about 6 hours to lock, so I don't foresee any problems filling that up tonight. So that should be pretty good. FanDuel has got a lot of good stuff going on. Obviously, I'm waiting for them to lower that WFBC qualifier just a little bit, so I can start taking some more shots at that. So we are going to go game by game breakdown and let you know exactly where our projections tool is looking at everything and how it's feeling about tonight. So without further ado, here we go. The first game we got tonight is going to be the Braves at the Pirates. We got Williams Perez at a 183 underdog against Francisco Liriano, who's a -203 favorite. We got a total of just under 7 in that game. I like Francisco Liriano a lot, especially for cash games, and he's going to have a higher floor because of the K upside that he's got. I don't mind Williams Perez as like a punt play, but I don't. It's a DraftKings play only. He's been really good, but he's due to regression, so we might be able to capitalize that on 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 more starts. So our projection model has him pegged for. Pull it up here. Sorry, I try to have all this ready. Our projection model has him rated right around about a 9-point game tonight on FanDuel. So He is at a 1.44 value, so he's got some pretty good value into him. At only $5,800, you can't expect too much. So if you get 10 to 12 points out of him, then consider yourself paying off his salary. So I don't mind some of the Pirates bats in this, especially Starling Marte, Andrew McCutchen. But they are somebody who I'm going to be actively targeting just because I think there's a lot of better players in better spots. Maybe players like Pedro Alvarez as a punt first baseman, but that's pretty much the only way I'm going. Maybe that's about all I'm going on that one. So I just don't like it's not that it's not a good matchup. I just think there's a lot of better players and better matchups tonight. So I want to capitalize off of those a little bit. Next game, we've got the White Sox at the Tigers. Jose Quintana at a plus 140 favorite going against Anibal Sanchez, who's a minus 152 favorite. Sorry, Quintana's the underdog. That total is at 8. And again, just like yesterday, loaded up on Tigers bats against the lefty. They absolutely crush left-handed pitching. And that's something that you need to have some exposure to in your games tonight because they could end up going off against Quintana. He's got a 1.35 whip with a 0.323 BABIP and a 4.35 road ERA. So he does have the potential to strike out. He's averaging about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. And it will definitely be something that I am targeting in a lot of games tonight. So, again, with the White Sox bats, you can't trust them. So maybe take flyer on Jose Abreu, but that'd be a GPP bullet only. But I'm staying completely and far away from it. So next game, we've got the Indians versus the Orioles. We've got Corey Kluber going against Wen-Yin Chen. Load up. Let's see here. I want to get that number for you here. Load up on righties from the Indians. Every single one of them. Wen-Yin Chen has allowed 11 home runs this year, 10 to right-handed batters. So that should explain a little bit about what he's doing. He's allowing Woba to right-handed batters over 320. And even though the Indians don't hit for a lot of power, that is they're getting a positive park shift. So the Indians right-handed bats I actually like in this. As far as Corey Kluber, he's been the anomaly this year. Cy Young Award last year, absolutely just crushed everybody. He's got a very, very high upside, but he's one of those that has the potential to blow up. So Chris Davis, Jimmy Paredes, Chris Parmalee. I'll probably be having a mini stack of them in a couple tournaments just because if somebody's going to get to Kluber, I think it's going to be the left-handed bats tonight. So it's one of those. It's a GPP play, and it's something that you have to look at, and that's why I break down all the splits versus handedness. So I can kind of target if somebody's really, really good against right-handed batters, but they're really bad against left-handed batters, I can target those left-handed batters versus that pitcher, even though he's got a big name. So next game here, we've got the Texas Rangers versus the Toronto Blue Jays. And we've got Nick Martinez at a plus 154 favorite over Mark Burley, who's a minus 154 underdog, versus Mark Burley, who's a minus 167 favorite. This total is at 9 because it's in the Rogers Center, and the Toronto Blue Jays are a completely different offense in Toronto. So tonight I will be targeting Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista. Josh Donaldson's better against lefties, but I don't mind him. versus righties. He's kind of priced around the same price that I've got a lot of other players that I'm kind of targeting. So I'll have a little bit of exposure to him, but not a lot. I will be targeting the left-handed bats for the Rangers, though. If you look at Mark Burley's splits, he has allowed 11 home runs this year, 6 to lefties, 5 to righties, so I don't mind any of them. But his WOBA to lefties is 365 versus a 303 WOBA to right-handed batters. And it's crazy how he's only got 11.8 K percentage, striking out about 4 players per every 9 innings. But he's got a 1.26 whip, which is about league average. And he's actually pitched a lot better recently than he has towards the beginning of the year. So Prince Fielder, Joey Gallo, Sin-Soo Choo, lock and load them. I think they're going to get to Burley tonight. So especially in that ballpark. Next game we've got going on is a game that I really kind of want to hit on, and for good reason. We've got the Washington Nationals versus the Philadelphia Phillies. We got Max Scherzer at a minus 205 favorite going against Aaron Harang, the Harangatang, at a 188 underdog. That total is 7, which is kind of odd considering the fact that they are in Philadelphia, which is a hitter's ballpark. Okay. Max Scherzer has been absolutely phenomenal the last 2 games. Obviously, we all know that he threw the no-hitter last time, and he obviously almost had the perfect game. That's another rant for a different day. But you also have the fact that he almost threw one. He took a perfect game into the 8th inning the time before that. So he's done absolutely phenomenal, and his price around the industry has actually reflected that. He's at 12.5 on DraftKings, which is, I think, the max. Clayton Kershaw was up there at one point, and nobody thought twice about playing him. I think people are kind of like Max Scherzer, 12.5. I don't know if I want to do it. But on DraftKings, he's at $14,000. If you spend money on DraftKings for Max Scherzer, you are going to have to find a lot of value that is in good spots in order to roster him and get a halfway decent pitcher in the second as your SP2. So he's going to be a bit of a contrarian play. I think he's going to go a little bit lower under-owned in tournaments because everybody's going to want to fade him. But it's not something that I recommend to do in cash games if you can find the value. Now, this is all obviously before lineups even come out. So that's going to be the big thing, is finding the value to be able to afford them. I will tell you one thing I am going to do, and this goes to capitalizing chaos into cash, is I am going to, let me pull up his stuff here. I am going to be targeting Ryan Howard in a couple GPPs. It's completely a gut play. He doesn't allow a lot of home runs to left-handed bats, but he's got a negative park shift, and Ryan Howard crushes right-handed pitching. So it's not ideal to do as far as a lot of lineups, but for a long shot in the dark, I will do it just once. I will have him in one of my slam teams because of that. So as far as the Washington Nationals, Bryce Harper, Denard Span, they're all in play against Aaron Harang. I know Harang's actually been pitching above his head this year, but the fact that he is pitching in Philadelphia, and his ERA's been creeping up. He hasn't been pitching as well as late, and I don't expect him to get a lot of run support. You're looking at something that you can absolutely capitalize off of. So next game here, we've got the Dodgers versus the Marlins. We've got Brett Anderson as a minus 132 favorite going against the Miami Marlins and Justin Nicolini. Nicolini is actually making his home debut. He hasn't pitched in Marlins Park yet, and we don't have a huge sample size as far as the major league level to go off of. What we do have a sample size of is the Dodgers versus left-handed pitching. They are significantly worse versus left-handed pitching than right-handed pitching. They've only got a 129 ISO with a 300 WOBA against left-handed pitching this year. And from what I've seen, Nicolini doesn't strike out a lot. He's a contact pitcher, but he doesn't allow a lot of he doesn't walk a lot either. Now he's due to regression. I could honestly see him blowing up and the Dodgers going off for 7-8 runs in about 4 or 5 innings. But I think this is going to be a very, very low scoring game. This could be a sneaky SP2 option on DraftKings as far as something to kind of target and take advantage of. As far as Brett Anderson, he is a contact pitcher by far none. But the Marlins absolutely crush left-handed pitching. I will be stacking the Marlins today. Giancarlo Stanton, Ozuna, Hechavarria, they all have very, very good splits against left-handed pitching. And we all know about Giancarlo. So I think he will be one of the higher owned players today, but I think the Marlins in whole will be a lower owned stack. So feel free to throw in a couple Marlins in some of your lineups. I don't mind Giancarlo for cash games if you can find some value and depending on who your pitcher is going to end up being. But it's a really good situation for Giancarlo. So even D Gordon is in play today, depending on who ends up catching tonight. So next game we're going to go to is going to be my top target of the night as far as pitcher is concerned. We've got the Cincinnati Reds going against the New York Mets. Johnny Cueto is a minus 118 favorite against Noah Thor Syndergaard, who's a plus 109 favorite. This total is at 6.5. And here's the issue with Syndergaard. He's a good kid, got a lot of talent. His indicators show that he's been had a lot of bad luck. The problem is that he's allowed 20 earned runs in 44 and 2/3 innings, and he's got a 1.32 WHIP and allowing a 349 BABIP. That's one of the highest BABIPs of the afternoon. And the Reds absolutely crush right-handed pitching. Frazier, Votto. Brandon Phillips is even in there. They have a 314 WOBA with a 156 ISO against right-handed pitching this year. And although Syndergaard hasn't allowed a lot of home runs, he's only allowed 4 this year. He does seem to get himself into trouble, and the Mets defense is not that good. Plus, he doesn't get a lot of run support, and the Mets are struggling as an offense right now, absolutely struggling. So I know they got the win yesterday against Youngman, but you only needed a couple runs with DeGrom pitching the way he was throwing. So Syndergaard does have a high K upside. I don't mind him as far as a SP2 on DraftKings if you want to take that into consideration. Just because of the fact that you've got a 9.67 K per 9 innings with a 24.9 K percentage. So he's definitely in play over there. But Johnny Cueto, this is my top pitching target of the night. His numbers are showing that he's not due to regress too much, which is nice, but he has a 0.95 WHIP. He doesn't walk anybody. He's got a 0.248 BABIP. He's striking out over 11 batters per 9 innings and almost a 30% strikeout rate. Going against the Mets, that's music to my ears. I absolutely love it. And the Mets, like I said, even though they were a lot better versus right-handed pitching at the beginning of the year, they aren't very good right now. So they've got a 0.289 WOBA and a 0.120 ISO versus right-handed pitching this year. So It's he's my top pitching or target of the night. As far as GPPs are concerned, I will be having a lot of Johnny Cueto with some Reds exposure and some bats. So next game we've got the Boston Red Sox and Rick Porcello going against Colome. And Rick Porcello is the underdog in this one. He's at a plus 113 underdog with column A at a 122 favorite. Let's pull up their stats here real quick for you guys. Let's see here. We've got some regression for some progression for Porcello. Looks like he's been had some bad luck. Both of these guys are right around the same as far as K per 9 and K percentage. We've got a little bit larger sample size as far as innings with Porcello, but the Rays left-handed bats, I will be targeting some of them. They end up the Rays are they have a I'm sorry. The Red Sox. Boy, that just took it to a whole new level. I'm sorry, guys. I just had a brain fart. It happens from time to time. All these numbers pouring out. Let's see here. We've got the Red Sox here at a 324 WOBA and a 143 ISO, and they're only striking out 16.3% of the time versus right-handed pitching. So we've got some Red Sox targets in this. David Ortiz obviously is in play. Brock Holt is going to be a third base target of mine tonight. I don't mind some of the Rays left-handed pitch or left-handed hitting. Load up Kiermaier, Souza. Joey Butler's been absolutely phenomenal this year since he's come up. So feel free to target them, and hopefully you'll be able to capitalize off of some of that. So it's only a 7.5 over under, so I wouldn't have too much exposure at one time with them, but it is something that I will definitely through the afternoon when lineups start getting released, I'll start looking into a little bit more. So make sure you follow me on Twitter. I'll start releasing some nuggets and stuff with as concerned to our spreadsheet and what they're thinking as lineups get released. So that's something that you always want to look for. So next game we're going to go to is the Twins and the Brewers. We've got Trevor May versus Kyle Loesch. And Loesch, surprisingly, is a favorite in this one at minus 111 versus Trevor May, and who's a 103 underdog. Total is only 7.5. And this is another one of those things that we've got to look at. Kyle Loesch has not been having a good year. He hasn't pitched well at home this season. His strikeouts are down. His walks are up. And it's something he's allowed 17 home runs this year, 10 to righties, 7 to lefties, and the Twins are only batting 293 WOBA with a 138 ISO. And what's surprisingly is the Brewers are even worse. So this might be a sneaky GPP play as far as loading up on a couple Twins bats, Torrey Hunter, Trevor Plouffe, Kyle Dozier, even Kurt Suzuki, I don't mind as a punt play as far as catcher is concerned. Trevor May is looking like he has had some bad luck. His differential from SIERA and xFIP to ERA is at a minus 0.37. He's got a 21% K percentage and striking out just under 8 batters per 9 innings. So he could get tagged for a couple runs, but Trevor May as a cheap GPP option, if you want to load up on some bats, might not be a bad option. There's other places that I'm actually looking for and actually going to target today. So next one we've got to is the game that I cannot wait to actually start loading up on. We've got the New York Yankees and Nate Eovaldi versus the Houston Astros and Vincent Velasquez. And this is something that I absolutely love. Vincent Velasquez, he's striking out over 11 batters per 9 innings. You're looking at just under a 30% K percentage. He hasn't allowed a lot of home runs, but he's only pitched 13 innings. Awesome, fantastic. The Astros kind of keep him on a pitch count. They keep him low. So what am I going to do? I'm going to absolutely target off of this because his indicators are showing that he is due for some major regression. He's been pitching above his head basically. So load up on the Yankees left-handed bats, McCann, Teixeira, even A-Rod is not a bad play today. Brett Gardner, who's been on fire lately, they're all getting a positive park shift going to Houston, and that should be able to make you some money tonight. So they should be able to rack up the fantasy points in this one. The Astros, all Astros batters, GPP, always in play. Cash game, as far as outfielders are concerned, I will be targeting Nathan Eovaldi with George Springer. George Springer all day long. So he's allowed a 358 WOBA, but the left-handed hitters are hitting at a 421 clip against him. So that's something that, like I said, the splits you've got to find, you've got to target, and you've got a lot of these players that are going to throw in a lot of lineups tonight. There's going to be a lot of dead lineups as far as these GPPs. So you want to make sure that you capitalize off of that and put together a solid lineup in order for you to, if you're not taking down the tournament, at least you're doubling and tripling your money and you're getting a positive return on investment. So next game we're going to go to is the Seattle Mariners versus the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We've got Taijuan Walker, who's a plus 112 favorite, going against Matt Shoemaker, who's a minus 121 favorite at a 7.5 over under. I keep saying favorite when I mean underdog. Walker's the underdog. I'm sorry. Both pitchers are kind of in play for as far as SB2s on DraftKings. Even on FanDuel, these could be some sneaky GPP options just because of the fact that they do strike out players at above an 8.5 clip, and you're looking at over a 20% strikeout rate. The issue here is they're going to be boom or bust. Both of these offenses aren't very good as far as facing right-handed pitching, but you've got to beware because they've still got some boppers in the lineup. Nelson Cruz, Kyle Seager, both of those are in play. For the Angels, you've got obviously Trout, Pujols, Cole Calhoun is in play tonight because it looks like Walker allows a 320 WOBA to left-handed batters, but he also allows a 350 WOBA to right-handed batters. So both of these are in play. Have a little bit of exposure to them, and make sure that you don't put all your eggs into one basket on this one. So tonight it kind of looks like the best way to kind of attack this slate looks like it's going to be mini stacks instead of loading up one team on or two stacks for one lineup. So you'll especially on FanDuel, you'll have you've got a pitcher and of course your 8 lineup spots, and you see a lot of players, they stack 2 teams for 4 and 4 if the numbers kind of work out and everything when the value opens up and the lineups are released. I don't think that's what's going to take down some of these big ones. I think it's going to be groups of 2 and 3, and you've got to hope, or you've got to dive into it a little bit and get the right games. So target the higher total games as far as hitters, and target the lower total games as far as pitchers, and you should be good. Next game we're going to go to is the D-backs versus the Padres. We have Ruby Ray versus Tyson Ross, or Robbie Ray, I'm sorry. And Robbie Ray is kind of an enigma so far to me this year. He's got a 1.7 ERA, but his Sierra and XFIP show that he's pitching over his head at a point or 2.38 average. So I'd sense some regression coming his way because I don't think that this kid is that good. He's allowing under a 275 WOBA to both left and right-handed batters. He's only allowed 2 home runs, both the right-handed batters this year. And this could be a matchup where you could throw in Matt Kemp, you can throw in Justin Upton, you can throw in Melvin BJ Upton, because this Padres team is built to beat left-handed pitching. You've got studs in the National League West like Kershaw and Bumgarner, and when they designed this team, they designed it to build or beat those type of pitchers in hopes that they could actually survive against right-handed pitching. It hasn't worked out. Like I said yesterday, I'll be targeting right-handed pitching versus the Padres, but this is not one of those spots. Beware of the Diamondbacks. The reason I say that is they're going to be severely overpriced because of the fact that they just came from Coors Field, and we want to make sure that we don't pay for somebody that's not in an optimal spot. And let me give you an example. Tyson Ross is pitching a little bit under what his true talent shows. You're looking at not a big significance, but it's big enough to where he should have a good game with a positive park shift. You're looking at 1.47 whip with a 0.352 BABIP this year, but he's striking out batters 25% of the time with almost 10 Ks per 9 innings. So if you're going to target him, you're going to target him with left-handed bats, but beware of the price because they are jumped up because of the downgrade in park coming from Colorado. So I won't be having any Diamondbacks in my lineups except for maybe 1 or 2 shares of Paul Goldschmidt, depending on exactly what kind of fits in and fits through. So the last game of the night, we've got my Colorado Rockies going out to San Francisco to face Tim Hudson and the San Francisco Giants. I go by times on these. I didn't save the best for last or anything like that. So call me a homer if you want, but this is how I'm projecting it. This is where one of my sneaky GPP pitchers of the night is going to be. Chad Bettis is a plus 132 underdog, and Tim Hudson's a minus 143 favorite. We got a total of 7, and this is where I'm going to be targeting against the Giants. So Chad Bettis is he's not a great pitcher, but he's not a bad pitcher either. He's kind of right there, middle of the road. He's going to be cheaper because he pitches in Colorado. But he's only allowed 3 home runs this year. He gets the positive park shift. And a lot of people are going to be targeting. A lot of people have the tendency to target Rockies pitching when they leave Coors Field because then they're more guaranteed to actually get for the win. Here's a sneaky stat for you guys. The Rockies have actually played better as far as a team overall. They have a better winning percentage on the road than they do at home this year. They don't put up quite as many runs, so you got to watch out for their offense. But you do have to take into consideration that those pitchers get that huge park shift bump when leaving Coors Field and actually going on the road. So the Giants actually hit left-handed pitching fairly decent. They've got a 325 WOBA with a 0.143 ISO, and they only strike out about 17% of the time. So Bettis's upside might be kind of limited here, but I could see this being a 3-2 game. And the Giants and the Rockies. The Giants and the Rockies always play each other very, very close and very well. And it usually very, very rarely is it a blowout. So if you are going to go against Bettis, Brandon Belt, Angel Pagan, they're both in play for cash games. I don't mind Aoki. You're looking at for the Rockies. Tulo's always in play. Nolan Arenado is absolutely just crazy sick right now. Remember what I told you guys yesterday. He has hit more home runs on the road than he has at home this year. And Tim Hudson actually has allowed more home runs to right-handed batters than he has left-handed batters this year as well. So the Rockies crush right-handed pitching. I don't expect Cargo to be in the lineup tonight. But you still got Brandon Barnes. You've still got Charlie Blackmon, who crushes right-handed pitching. So a sneaky stack might actually be the Rockies away from Coors. Usually when in the industry, people kind of tend to fade the Rockies when they're not in Coors Field. I think that's something that we can actually take advantage of and use to our favor and our advantage. I will be having a lineup with the Rockies because of the fact that they are facing a right-handed pitching. So, guys, that's it for today's kind of breakdown. I have my article released here in just a little bit. Hope you guys have been enjoying this. Like I said, I'll release some nuggets and some tidbits through Twitter throughout the afternoon. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. It's Boomer's DFS Daddy, or you can follow Spreadsheet Sports at Sheet Sports. And obviously, I love interacting with you guys. It's been a blast so far. Let's see if we've gotten any more in that Spreadsheet Sports League. We do. We have 7. So if you're reading this or if you're listening to this, make sure you jump in there. It's only $5. The top 3 get paid, so it's a 30% payout structure. I'd like to increase this as much as we possibly can to have a little bit more fun with it. So, but it's been fun so far, and obviously I did the lineup breakdown yesterday. So, guys, this is Keith for Spreadsheet Sports. Make sure you take time to read my article. I will give out a little bit more as far as my top plays of turning chaos into cash. And for Spreadsheet Sports and me, this is Keith. Good luck, everybody.